Let me ask you something. You've been renting a Cessna 172 Skyhawk or a Piper Cherokee 140 for 3 years. You have 500 hours. You think you're ready to write a check for a Cirrus SR22 or maybe a Diamond DA 40 Star? You think the only thing standing between you and the keys is the price tag? You are wrong. There is a second buyer in that transaction. You cannot see him. He doesn't care about the leather seats or the Garmin glass cockpit. He cares about one thing: the tail number. Because the government doesn't need to steal your plane while you're sleeping. They just need you to make 3 specific mistakes. And most owners make all of them before the first annual inspection. Let's start with a story. A friend of mine bought a Beechcraft Bonanza G36. Beautiful machine, low time, always hangared. He did everything right. He registered it with the FAA, got his N number, paid his taxes, and filed his operating papers. 6 months later, he landed at a small towered airport in New Jersey for a $100 hamburger. When he came back to the ramp, there was a yellow tag under the windshield wiper. It wasn't a parking ticket. It was a notice of seizure. The aircraft didn't move for 14 months. He didn't lose it to a crash. He lost it to a paperwork error from the previous owner that had been hiding in the registry for 11 years. Here's how they take it. Method 1. The civil asset forfeiture loophole. You've heard about this with cars and cash, but aircraft are the golden goose. Under federal law, if your plane is involved in even a potential violation of customs, drug trafficking, or money laundering, the government can seize it without charging you with a crime. Notice the word involved. You don't have to know about it. You don't have to participate. If you rent out your Piper Saratoga to a flight school and one student uses it to pick up something illegal, your plane is gone. The burden of proof shifts to you. You have to prove your plane is innocent. And while you're proving that, you're paying storage fees, hangar fees, legal fees. Most people run out of money before the government runs out of patience. Let me pause here. I want you to think about your own hangar, your own ramp, your own flight school. Have you ever rented your aircraft to someone you didn't fully vet? Have you ever done a favor for a friend with a Piper Comanche or a Cessna 182 Skylane? Pause this video. Go to the comments. Tell me honestly, have you ever let someone borrow your keys without a written agreement? I'll wait, but don't wait too long, because method 2 is even more subtle. Method 2. The AD compliance trap. Airworthiness directives. You know what they are. You check them at annual. But here's what most owners of a Mooney M20U Ovation Ultra or a Cessna Turbo 206H Stationaire HD don't realize. The government doesn't have to prove you ignored an AD. They just have to prove you couldn't prove you complied. That's right. The burden is on you to keep every piece of paper, every logbook entry, every mechanic's signature. If you lose one page from 1997 on a Piper P at 28 Cherokee, and that AD becomes active again, your plane is technically unairworthy. And an unairworthy aircraft on a public airport is a federal offense. They can padlock the hangar. I've seen it happen to a King Air 200 owner who misplaced a single engine log from 3 owners ago. The aircraft sat for 8 months while lawyers argued about a signature on a piece of paper that no longer existed. But the really frightening one? Method 3. The one that scares owners of a Cirrus Vision Jet SF50 or a Honda Jet Elite 2. The international no-fly list, not for people, for airframes. If the previous owner of your used Pilatus PC-12 or Daher TBM-850 ever flew it to a country under sanction, or if the serial number was ever flagged by Customs and Border Protection for any reason, that flag follows the airframe, not the owner. You could buy a clean Beechcraft Baron G58 from a retired airline captain. But if that plane was once registered to a shell company in the Caribbean 15 years ago, you will discover this when you try to file an international flight plan to Canada or the Bahamas. And the discovery will be a federal agent waiting at your FBO. Here's where it gets procedural. The government has a tool called the immediate revocation order. No hearing, no appeal, no due process in the traditional sense. They send a letter. The letter says your registration is revoked effective immediately. Common reasons? You changed your address and forgot to update the registry. You let your insurance lapse for 3 days. You flew your Piper Cub J3 or Aviat Husky into a TFR without realizing it because your iPad died. These are not criminal acts, but they are administrative violations. And administrative violations give the FAA the power to cancel your registration on the spot. Once the registration is gone, the aircraft has no legal right to exist on US soil. It becomes contraband. They can seize it. They will sell it at auction, and you will get nothing. Think about that for a minute. You spent years saving for a Diamond DA50RG or a Pipistrelle Panthera. You finally get it, and you lose it because you moved from Texas to Florida and forgot to file a one-page form. That's not justice, that's process, and process is how they win. I want you to really feel this. Put yourself in the cockpit of a Sling TSI or a Landcare 4P. You just landed after a beautiful cross-country. You're tired, you're happy, you walk inside. When you come back out, there's a federal officer standing next to your wing. He hands you a single sheet of paper. It says your aircraft is detained pending investigation. No explanation, no phone number, no timeline. What do you do? Who do you call? Most owners freeze. And while they freeze, the clock starts ticking on storage fees that can reach thousands per week for something like an Epic E1000GX or an Extra 330LX. But let's talk about the really high-end trap. The one for owners of a Global 8000, Gulfstream G800, or Falcon 10X, the IRS lien. Most people think the IRS only comes after your house or your bank account. Wrong. If you owe back taxes on anything, not the plane, anything, the IRS can file a lien against your aircraft, even if the plane is owned by an LLC, even if the plane is financed by a bank. The IRS line attaches to the airframe, and you cannot sell it, move it, or refinance it until the lien is paid. I know an operator who lost a Praetor 600 for 2 years over a disputed tax bill of $40,000. The legal fees were 3 times that. The plane depreciated $400,000 during the dispute. The government didn't care. They don't lose. They just wait. Here's a question for the senior pilots watching. The ones flying a Piper M700 Fury or a Beechcraft King Air 360ER. Have you ever checked the title history on your aircraft? Not the logbooks, the actual title. The same way you check a car. Most of you haven't. And that's the opening the government needs. Because hidden liens, hidden flags, hidden past seizures, they all live in the registry. And they only surface when it's too late. I want you to stop right now, seriously. Pause this video, go to the comments. Tell me if you've ever run a title search on your plane before buying it. If you haven't, why not? If you have, did you find anything strange? I'll read those comments, because the next story might save you. Let me tell you about the Piper PA-46 Malibu. Beautiful aircraft, complex, fast, expensive to maintain. The owner bought it from a broker in Nevada. Clean logs, fresh annual. He flew it for 18 months. Then one day, he landed at Van Nuys. A deputy U.S. Marshal was waiting. It turned out the previous owner had used the plane to transport cash across state lines without reporting it. That was 7 years before our buyer even saw the plane. But the seizure order was still active. The airframe was still hot. Our buyer lost everything. He sued the broker. The broker had disappeared. He sued the title company. The title company said, "We only search back 5 years unless you pay for the full history." He didn't pay. He lost a $300,000 aircraft over a $75 search fee. That's the part they don't tell you in flight school. They teach you V-speeds. They teach you weather. They don't teach you that a Diamond DA62 or a Piper Seneca 5 can be taken from you while you're eating breakfast because of something someone else did a decade ago. Now you might be thinking, I fly a small plane, a Tecnam P2006T, a Grumman AA1, a Rands S21 outbound. Surely they don't care about my little bug smasher. Wrong. The government doesn't discriminate by price. They discriminate by opportunity. A Cessna 150 with a questionable registration is just as easy to seize as a citation longitude. In fact, smaller planes are easier because the owners are less likely to have lawyers on retainer. You think I'm exaggerating? Ask the owner of the Piper Cub J3 who had his plane impounded because he landed on a dry lake bed that the BLM decided was a wilderness area. No signs, no fence, just a federal agent with a bolt cutter and a flatbed trailer. Here's the reality. The system is designed to be confusing. The forms are vague, the deadlines are short, the penalties are catastrophic. And the government knows that most aircraft owners, even smart ones, even wealthy ones, even senior pilots with 30,000 hours, will make one of three mistakes. They will fail to update their address. They will fail to keep every single logbook page. Or they will fail to run a full title search. That's all it takes. One mistake, and your plane is gone. So what do you do? First, stop assuming that because you bought it legally, you own it cleanly. That is not how aircraft law works. Second, go to the FAA registry right now, not later. Right now. Look up your N number, see what flags exist. You might be surprised. I've seen Cessna 182 Skylanes with unresolved liens from 1987. I've seen Piper PA-32 Saratoga Lances with seizure warnings that were never cleared. Third, pay for a full title search on any aircraft you are thinking of buying. Not a 5-year, a full history. It costs $200. It will save you $200,000. And finally, understand this. The government does not want your plane because it hates you. The government wants your plane because it is a high-value asset that is easy to take and hard to defend. The laws were written for drug cartels and money launderers, but they apply to you. To your Beechcraft Musketeer Sundowner, to your Cessna 177 Cardinal, to your Piper Comanche, to your Kit Fox Series 7, to your Just Aircraft Super Stole. The law does not care that you're a good person. The law cares about paperwork. I want you to think about your hangar right now. Is your registration current? Is your address correct? Are your logs complete? If you hesitated on any of those questions, you have work to do. Do it this week, not next month. Because the next time you land, there might be a yellow tag under your windshield wiper. And by then, it's too late. If you have a story about a seizure, a near miss, or a paperwork nightmare, put it in the comments. The more of us who talk about this, the harder it is for them to take advantage of honest pilots. Fly safe and read the fine print.